Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be bringing you a topic that I have done in the past, but I'll do it again because we're in the future now. So today I'm going to be talking to you all about, and I'm actually having a handheld view again. I really like these handheld views and it's really personal for you guys, and I get to show you guys the rest of the beach and how beautiful it is, and what I just bask in the sunlight and the good energy of the beach. And you guys are joining me when I'm at the beach. So today's a really good day to talk about a topic that I've talked about before, and this is, what does it mean when you're spiritual? I mean, what does it mean spiritually when your crystals break? Now, I've been teaching about this, and I guess, okay, one thing I'll do is every now and then, even with an old topic, with something I've talked about before, I'm just gonna make a new video, a more updated video every few months or every few weeks, depending on how asked the question is, because sometimes you guys don't want to go into the deeper videos of when I taught about it. So I'm going to talk to you all about what it means when your crystal breaks. Now, there's two things: when your crystal breaks and when your crystal jewelry breaks. It actually has multiple reasons, and some of the reasons are super interesting and rare. Some of them are very common. Okay, the first reason is, let's just look at how careless your carelessness levels. So if you're someone who, when you take off your jewelry, you're like, yeah, and you just rip it off, of course it's gonna break. Of course it's gonna break. Don't be surprised if you're someone who puts on your crystals like, yeah, and just slams the crystal on the counter and it cracks and you're like, no. It's because you were in the heat of the moment. And I'm guilty of this because I've done this before, and I've actually had to learn in the past, because I have, if you cannot tell, if you've ever seen me make a necklace, I have very, very, very strong hands and very strong fingers. Sometimes when I grab glasses, they'll just, break. But I have stone hands. Florida Stone Man has Florida Stone hands, and every now and then when I put a crystal in the counter, it cracks and it breaks, and now you have two crystals. And I'll actually talk about what you guys can do with your crystals after they break. There's two different kind of crystals, so the ones you wear and the ones you keep around you. Now, if you have a crystal that you are really clumsy with and you just keep it around you and you break it, guess what? Congratulations, you have two crystals now. You have two crystals. Now, some of you might have just dropped the crystal, and some of you might have cracked the crystal and broke the crystal. It's okay. Crystals are crystals, and they're going to break sometimes, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Well, there is something wrong with it if you're just chilling out in your home and you touch a crystal like that and you didn't put that much energy into touching it and it cracks and it breaks. What does this mean? This means the crystal was under heavy energy, heavy fire, it was doing so much work to the point where you just kind of caught on, you touched it, and now, you see me adjusting my necklaces. I just sat back down after it was raining. Florida's very random. It could be raining one second and it can be really sunny the next second, but when your crystal cracks and breaks as a result of you not really doing much to touch it, such as black tourmaline, for example, that's a problem. That means it's under spiritual attack. Now, this is why I always recommend for you guys to put selenite by your crystals when you keep them around the house. Now, black tourmaline is one of those crystals you should put everywhere around the home. You should put it by the windows, by the doors, near the ceiling, near the floor, just everywhere. Black tourmaline should go absolutely everywhere. The more tourmaline in your house, the better. But you shouldn't be keeping tourmaline in your home that's not cleansed and charged. Like, if you just have a piece of tourmaline and it's been there for a month and you're not cleansing and charging it, when you touch it, it's probably going to turn into ash. It's just going to crumble, because black tourmaline's not supposed to really be, it's not supposed to go without cleansing and charging. And that's why I call it the stone suiciding, because it's so full of negative energy that was supposed to go to you that actually went to the stone. And I'm going to make adjustments to this necklace because I noticed this necklace is paper thin and light as air, but I'm actually going to talk about what happens when your jewelry breaks next. But when you touch your black tourmaline and it cracks and it breaks, guess what? It's because you never cleansed and charged it, and it's just full of energy. Now, if you've cleansed and charged the black tourmaline and you touch it out of nowhere and you know it's cleansed and charged and it still breaks, and you know you're not under spiritual attack, it could be just a very low quality, low cut, low form of tourmaline, which is actually one of the reasons I don't sell cheap tourmaline on my website. It's because people are like, can I have the cheap tourmaline? I'm like, okay, right when you get the tourmaline and you touch it, it's going to crumble and break. Is that what you want? You want to be cheap with your spirituality? Then cheap is what you get. So same thing with cheap tourmaline. Lower quality tourmaline, it breaks very easily. So you have to be in a place of discernment where you're like, okay, this tourmaline just broke because I was aggressive with it. I touched it. Have I been cleansing and charging it? Am I under spiritual attack? Is other things off? Am I seeing flies around, just randomly around the place? Is just bad energy being sent to me? Like, how are my chakras feeling? You scan your chakras. You basically feel how you're feeling. If you feel good, then you're probably doing good. Even if you're under spiritual attack and you feel good, that's a good sign, because it doesn't really matter because it didn't get through the tourmaline. Now, when it comes to other things such as crystals and tourmaline, other crystals such as tourmaline, it depends. It really depends. So you have to look at the Mohs hardness of a crystal. Go online and type in Mohs hardness of a certain crystal. If your rainbow fluorite cracked and broke, it's probably because it's rainbow fluorite. Now, malachite, cheap malachite will break a lot more easier than other malachite. I have to make a more updated video about malachite, because with malachite, the white malachite is a lower quality version of malachite. It's not as strong as the green quality. So when you wear that one as jewelry, which I don't even sell that. If you look at the malachite on my website, floridastoneman.com, you will notice that the malachite is deep in green, because I know quality. This is, when you get lower quality gemstones, they're going to be a lot more likely to break. That's why when you get crystals from Amazon and you touch them, they just crack open because they're low quality crystals. So you have to discern if your crystals, and not the crystals that you wear as jewelry, break because they're cheap and they're low quality, and low grade is more likely to break, but you still have to look at the Mohs hardness. Now, on top of that, even if you did get a low quality crystal and you're under spiritual attack, it's going to break that much quicker. You have to put 2 and 2 together. It's okay to have broken tourmaline. A lot of people will get, like, I remember the first time I ever got black tourmaline off of Amazon, they sent me charcoal, and I'm like, okay, we're not grilling. I mean, there's a grill behind me, but we're not grilling. But yeah, people will, on Amazon especially, you're going to get cheap crystals, even if they're, like, let's just say you actually got the real crystal, it's going to be a cheap, low quality crystal. Now, when you get a higher quality crystal and it cracks and breaks, you still have to look at its Mohs hardness. You have to look at how much you're cleansing and charging it. And when it breaks, it actually means it's full of negative energy. Some people will talk about, oh, when it broke, it did its job. I'm like, when it broke, it got fired from its job because it's not doing it anymore. And that's more for the jewelry that you wear, because the jewelry that you don't wear, I mean, crystals that you don't wear that are around the house, they're gonna do the job still, just because they're, when they break, they turn into 2. If it's a super tiny piece, I would just get a new piece. People are like, can I throw it out? Should I bury it? Whatever. What should I do with it? Like, do whatever you want with it. If it's big enough, now you just have 2 crystals. If it's really small, you might as well just get a different, or upgrade your crystal to a bigger crystal. Now, I'm going to talk about crystals as jewelry breaking. So let's say you have a necklace, for example. I'm always pulling and tugging on this because this doesn't have any weight. These crystals are just, due to how light the nature of these stones are, chrysoprase and emerald, just how light they are, they're super light and paper-like. Some crystals are like that, like amber. So some crystals, like jet stones, should be light. Some crystals are naturally like paper-like, like air. So this one I'm constantly pulling on because I'm getting it to basically not overlap onto the other necklaces. I haven't figured out a design yet, but I like the colors of this one too much to switch it yet. I'm considering putting jade into it, for it to have an actual weight. Just a little bit of an inside of the jewelry I wear myself. And if you guys ever see my neck, it's there's a lot of stuff going on back there, especially with the crystals and other stuff back there that I don't really talk about. Yeah, the other crystals and just different, you guys can see some of my crown. I have a bunch of crystals in my hair as well. I love crystals, I know they work, I see they work. They help other people and they work very fast, like no question about it. So I'm always loading up on crystals and seeing where I can add more crystals to myself. But when it comes to you guys and you're wearing crystals, I'm gonna tell you right now, the less crystal jewelry that you wear, the more pressure goes onto that stone. So let's say this bloodstone's a really good example. If you're just wearing your bloodstone, and bloodstone will tell you what's up. If you're absorbing a bunch of negative energy throughout the day and you're just wearing bloodstone as a necklace, your bloodstone's gonna start changing color because it's telling you, hey, I'm picking up negative energy. You might want to cleanse and charge when you want to get home. You might want to use sunlight. Versus if you wear bloodstone and black tourmaline, it doesn't really, the bloodstone will stay a dark color. It'll stay like a dark green, or it'll even look blackish, like especially in the sunlight. That's the bloodstone not having to do as much work, so it's being that much less likely to break. That's why when you just have one crystal, like black tourmaline as a necklace is wonderful. When you get another black tourmaline necklace, or when you get a tiger eye necklace, for example, now the thing's not just defending because there's something coming in and there's something defending. So the tiger eye is helping the tourmaline, and all the crystals work together to really help create a change in your life to be able to make it easy for you. So My bloodstone, which is on my arm right here, never turns dark red. Never, ever. Because all the surrounding crystals, the protecting crystals around it, don't really have to... they don't do much to have to get their jobs done. So if they're doing their jobs to protect me or to keep negative energy away, just because I have so many crystals on at once, it's going to make it way less likely to get overwhelmed. Now, let's just say you have a crystal bracelet and it pops and it snaps and it breaks. People will be like, okay, it did its job. Yes, it did its job, but it got fired. Now it's no longer doing its job because you're not wearing it. Sometimes, I've seen this on a very rare occasion. Certain lower level demons can try to bite through jewelry. As crazy as it sounds, it depends where you're at, especially at nighttime. Like if you're anywhere near a cemetery or anywhere near like a really shady environment, sometimes they'll be opportunistic and take the full advantage of their environment and be like, oh cool, finally this person's out of their house, jeez, and they'll go for it. They'll try to bite through the jewelry. Sometimes they successfully do it. That's why sometimes you guys will walk into a room and you'll turn on a light and a crystal jewelry item will just explode and it'll freak people out because there was a dark entity in the room and you kind of annoyed it by turning the light on, etc. It's kind of sad to think about it like that, but it's real, it's true. A lot of you guys were like, oh, it did its job, it broke. Oh, wonderful. Now you don't have the crystal. I don't know why people think it's a good thing when their crystal breaks. It's very counterproductive. When your crystal breaks, get a new crystal or fix the crystal that you currently have. The enemy, dark spirits, lower level entities want to see the crystal off of you, and it really pains them to even try to come near you. Sometimes they have to be at a distance to send you anything to even try to crack and get through the jewelry. That's why I say you cleanse and charge your crystals every day. You don't wait one day of the week to cleanse and charge them, because what if you're under spiritual attack that day? What if an entity try to attach itself to you and try to come home with you? Now what? Exactly. So this video is actually very easy, and I've talked about this before. I talked about it a little bit in depth. Let's talk about some really rare exceptions. If you're in the ocean and your crystal jewelry just slips off, well, some kind of entity or being or the ocean really liked your jewelry and kind of like, hey, I'll take this from you, and it'll just slip off, it'll break off, etc., and the ocean will take it, or any entity or spirit or being around the ocean. And then normally what happens is something really good comes to you later on, because they're like, okay, I appreciate the jewelry, thanks for the jewelry, even though you're like, I didn't really give you the jewelry. And then something really good happens in your life because they like the present. That does happen. It's a rare occurrence. It does happen sometimes. There's a lot of beings in the ocean. Ocean's over here. I don't suggest you guys get into the ocean with a bunch of crystals on, just because the ocean's a very spiritual place, and sometimes the beings in the ocean will be like, I like your jewelry, can I have it? And they'll just take it. You're in its territory, and yeah, that does happen. Other rare exceptions is, why might a crystal break? Well, you dropped and broke it. It was a low quality crystal. And you have to have discernment when doing this. Make sure you guys are thinking rationally. Discern well. It could be a bunch of different reasons as to why your crystal broke, but most likely, if you're wearing a crystal such as, because I make my bracelets very durable, I make my necklaces especially extremely durable. If it breaks out of nowhere, something at a very, very far distance was sending little negative energy here and there to the point where if you didn't cleanse and charge it properly that day or the night before, and the tourmaline might be overwhelmed. If you've got a black tourmaline necklace for me, tourmaline absorbs 100% of anything that's supposed to get to you. 100% of any black magic someone's doing with you is absorbed by the tourmaline. What does that mean? It means if 100% of that bad energy went into the stone, it needs to be cleansed and charged immediately, because it can't really do much more because it's full. Which is good that it's full, but it's not good that it's full at the same time, because it's more likely to break. So that's why if you don't, I mean, a lot of people who have crystal jewelry and don't cleanse and charge it will always have their crystals breaking because they're full. So like I said, when your crystal breaks, it's not a good thing. Cleanse and charge it, get another crystal, another replacement. I really don't see how people think it's a good thing when their crystal jewelry breaks. I don't. If you have a giant crystal and it cracks and breaks because you dropped it on the floor, okay, you have two crystals now. If you are wearing a pendant that keeps away demons, for example, such as a bloodstone necklace that keeps away demons specifically, and it breaks, you're like, oh, it did its job. When 2 and 2 come together, do they make 5 or does it make 4? You don't have that protection now. You're easy to get now. You know what I mean? So just cleanse and charge your crystals. If it breaks, replace it immediately. Come out, have backups, because certain days, certain astrological weathers, different circumstances occur. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Until then, I will see you guys next time. Ciao.